The University of Washington acknowledges the Coast Salish peoples of this land, the land which touches the shared waters of all tribes and bands within the Suquamish, Tulalip, and Muckleshoot nations. Hello. I'm Tim Essington. I'm professor and director of the School of Aquatic and Fisheries Sciences, and it's my very, very great privilege and honor to be here today, welcoming all of you into our School of Aquatic and Fisheries Sciences, and even greater honor and privilege to be presiding over the 2023 commencement of our graduates. Yeah. Now, to be sure, today is going to be about our graduates, and we're going to hear a lot about our graduates. But today is also to acknowledge and show our appreciation for all the people that helped our graduates get to where they are today. I think everyone here would say there was a whole network of people that supported them. No matter what degree you're pursuing, graduate or undergraduate, it takes a certain resiliency to get through the trials and tribulations, the ability to get up when things get rough. And no one is inherently born with that resiliency. It is developed, it's nurtured, it's evolved, and that happens over decades. And sometimes your resiliency isn't enough, and that's where you need friends, family, and loved ones to help step in when your resiliency is running thin. Some of you also might be quick to remind me that resiliency does not pay tuition bills. All of which to say is behind every graduate is a huge supporting network, people behind them. So I want to do a quick check of who's here in this audience. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to shout out a description. If this sounds like a relationship that you have with a graduate, please erupt into thunderous applause. That's right. You are going to applause for yourself. Hooting and or hollering is strongly encouraged. Okay, so begin. Parents and grandparents. Not bad. All right. Aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, or nephews. I knew that was going to be the loudest. Siblings. Nice. Spouses and other loved ones. Yeah. Children. Can't count on the kids. Friends. All right, so let's use that same thunderous applause you just used for the first of many times that we're going to congratulate the 2023 graduating class. All right, now that we're warmed up, it's my great pleasure to hand over the podium to Professor Maya Tolstoy. Maya is the Mager Walter Dean of the University of Washington College of the Environment, and she's going to say a few words. Please join me in welcoming Dean Tolstoy.
Thank you, Tim, and welcome, hello, class of 2023. It is my distinct honor to be among the first to congratulate you on your graduation from the University of Washington. This is a momentous accomplishment, and it's truly an honor to be part of the College of the Environment community alongside graduates as brilliant, inquisitive, and forward-thinking as yourselves. Thank you for allowing me to be part of this special occasion. We're here today to celebrate the next step in your lives and the next step in your journey as aquatic and fisheries scientists, thinkers, and citizens of the world. I know that step can be daunting. Whatever path you're planning to pursue, whether it's furthering exploration of your academic discipline or making the first moves of your professional career, this will be a time of great change in your life. But I have had the privilege of witnessing the incredible work that you do, and I am certain that you will navigate this change with the same thoughtful determination with which you navigated your time at the College of the Environment. Whether it was that first midterm on your first introductory course, or a bout of writer's block in the middle of a final paper, or something you couldn't have possibly foreseen, like an abrupt transition to remote learning. You have all overcome countless hurdles, large and small, and the past few years have been fraught with more challenges than most. Yet time and again, you have risen to meet those challenges, to turn them into opportunities to learn and grow, and to demonstrate bravery, kindness, and perseverance in your work as members of this community. These are all qualities that I am certain will serve you well for the rest of your lives, because we are at a critical juncture in the history of our planet. Tackling the environmental crises we face will ask much of you in the decades to come. I am often torn when people say that your generation represents the greatest hope to finally address these crises. On one level, that feels obviously true to me. I'm endlessly impressed by the passion, energy, and nuanced thinking that you and many in your generation bring not only to the movement for a livable planet, but to movements to justice and equity as well. But I also feel that it is unfair to shoulder you with such a staggering burden, to imply that the rest of us have tried and failed, and that these are somehow your problems and your problems alone. I want you to know that you are not alone. You are part of this community, and whether your path leads you to further study the aquatic and fisheries systems and the whole ecosystem, to craft policies that will build a sustainable world, or to develop novel solutions that will save people's lives, we will always have your back, every single one of us in this together. And so it is in that spirit that I am delighted to share the gift with which the College of the Environment will be honoring the efforts and talents and contributions of your graduating class. Based on the recommendation of the Student Advisory Council and a vote by you, our graduating students, the college will be partnering with the Campus Sustainability Fund to help fund the Resiliency Tunnel project for the UW Farm. For any of you who haven't had the pleasure of visiting or volunteering, and I strongly encourage you all to do so, the UW Farm is a student-powered urban farm that provides locally grown produce to UW and the greater community through local partners and the UW Food Pantry. This gift will help fund the construction of a high tunnel which will protect crops and extend the growing season by multiple months. The project will incorporate small-scale solar and rainwater catchment systems and provide an educational space for the community. We are so excited to support the sustainability and well-being of our Husky community, and I am personally delighted that you all have chosen such a fantastic program for this gift. Now, I know there are several other people here waiting patiently for their own opportunities to tell you how wonderful you are. So I will close with just a few brief lessons that I hope you'll remember from your time at the University of Washington. First, remember to stay curious and embrace new experiences, even when it feels easier to stick with what you know. Comfort zones are not set in stone. Remember that failure is not just impermanent, but is in fact an essential component of success, and that perseverance is a virtue. Remember that the only constant in life is change, and that even when things feel grim, it's always prudent to hope. And remember that you have what it takes to achieve anything you set your mind to. You are strong, you are valued, and you are part of a community that wants nothing but the best for you. I look forward to hearing about each and every one of your adventures and accomplishments in the years to come. Congratulations again, class of 2023.
Little auditory fix. Thank you very much, Maya. That was fantastic. Our next up is our Faculty Merit Awards. You might be wondering, what the heck is a Faculty Merit Award? Well, the Faculty Merit Awards are awarded to bachelor's, master's, and PhD students on the basis of outstanding achievement and excellence, either on the basis of academic performance, scholarship, or just contributions to the community. Now, importantly, the Faculty Merit Award is funded entirely by the faculty themselves. So it's coming directly out of our faculty pockets. So naturally, us faculty believe it's the most prestigious award anyone could possibly get. So given that, I'm pleased to announce this year's Undergraduate Faculty Merit Award winner, Anna Olson. Can you come on up, Anna? I'm going to say a couple nice things about Anna real quick. So Anna was nominated by several people, and her nominators noted that, quote, Anna embodies and exceeds what we expect from the very best of our undergraduates. She is a hard-working, critical thinker, a fantastic team player, a diligent researcher, a leader in her community, and a true delight to have in the classroom. Congratulations, Anna. This year's master's level Faculty Merit Award is Anita Ray. Anita's nominated notes her exceptional contributions to teaching, particularly during the COVID lockdown, where she applied her knowledge of remote teaching in several ways. Quote, in situations like this, the value of a good TA becomes apparent, and I was lucky in having one of the best in Anita. She's also very heavily engaged in outreach education throughout the college, and on top of all that, she's done an exceptional research contribution that her nominator states, the scope of her master's thesis was way beyond anything my master's students did before. Congratulations, Anita. And we have two award winners at the PhD level. The first is Maya Kapoor. I got the alphabet wrong. Congratulations, Maya. Sorry, I didn't get the order right. I'm going to say nice things about you now, Maya. Maya's nominator states that, quote, Maya is one of the best students in the quantitative program in years. And he also, this person also states, quote, I don't think I have been privileged to mentor a more focused student ever. Her accomplishments are many, and they're too long to fully list here, but include 6 peer-reviewed manuscripts, deep engagement in the scientific process that supports fishery decision-making, and her accomplishments are so great that she was hired as a full-time scientist at NOAA well before earning her PhD. Congratulations, Maya. And the second PhD Faculty Merit Award goes to Natalie Mastic. Natalie's nominator states that in the course of her time at SAFS, quote, Natalie has literally become a world expert in her area of study. Her work combined her existing and deep knowledge coming into the program in marine mammalogy with a keen interest to develop skills in parasitology to apply that to conservation efforts. Her nominator writes that, quote, the work that she has produced breaks new ground for marine mammalogy and establishes her as a world authority on parasitism in marine mammals. Finally, and perhaps the highest praise this nominator can give is that Natalie is, quote, a card-carrying parasitologist. Congratulations. Now for the more exciting part of the show is that you finally get to hear from some of the stars, our graduates themselves. We're going to hear from 2 people. First up, we're going to hear from our undergraduate student speaker. This year, it's going to be Jada Rasmussen. Welcome, Jada.
I gotta grab my phone. I didn't plan this through. Oh, hang on. Okay. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, family, friends, partners, peers, and mentors for being here to celebrate us as we have just completed a huge step in our lives. My name is Jada Rasmussen, as it was stated. I am a proud Native student enrolled in the Spokane tribe located in eastern Washington. I am also a descendant of the Menominee, Oneida, Ojibwe, and Colville tribes. I stand here in front of you today on Duwamish land. The Duwamish may not be federally recognized, but they're still here, along with all of the other tribes in Washington across the country, which is important as Native people are still here and adding so much value to our world. Today, we are all gathered to celebrate each other and ourselves. Right now, we're graduating from the School of Aquatic and Fisheries Science program at the University of Washington, which I think is super cool. SAFS here at UW was a hole I fell into. I was not expecting to come here, but one I didn't really want to climb out of either. I really enjoyed it. I've had so much fun here growing and learning with the amazing people sitting here before you today. I'm so grateful for the lasting relationships I've made in this program. I've learned to think critically, challenge myself, and best of all, learn about fish. In classes like physiology with Jose Guzman or Stephen Roberts, learning about zooplankton with Daniel Schindler, ichthyology, which is a branch of zoology dedicated to fish, for those of you who don't know, with Luke Tornavene, and most importantly, fish conservation with Tim when he was teaching it. Though I've taken many wonderful classes during my time as an undergrad, I wanted to highlight these as they were definitely some of my favorites, along with the class in Alaska too. With their help, I can now confidently spit out random fish knowledge, not just fun facts, as we've gone so much deeper here into fish. My great-great-great-great-grandma, Chimon, let me put in a better context for you. That is the great-grandmother of my great-grandfather. She was a medicine woman on my dad's side, and I'm the 7th generation from her. She was part of the Menominee Nation of northeastern Wisconsin, and she would be proud to hear me say that I am willing to make sacrifices in my work, not for myself, but for future generations. This room is filled with people who will not see the effects of our work in their lifetimes. Even my nephew Dakari Paisley up at the top, my little cousin, very young, they will not see some of these effects. It is important that we take the skills we have learned during our time here and wield that power they give us, share it with the people around us, and use it to create change. We have the power to heal the problems that the generations between me and my grandma Chimon took part in creating, generations that did not know the consequences their actions held for the future, but we know now, and we will consider and learn from the generations before us and teach those that come after for the betterment of our planet. Because these are the people who will have to live with our mistakes. The future deserves better, and we can do better, we are the change. But it is not just one person who will create this change. Life is a mosaic, and we as individuals and groups all add to it, but not one person can complete it by themselves. Although this may sound like a big weight put on our shoulders, we must remember that we are also here because we love what we do. When you dive deep into your research or get experience in the field or lab, have fun with it. Remember that you are here and making a difference because it matters, and every ounce of work we put in is a step toward a better future for everyone. Fish may not seem very big, but it's an important thing in the world still. I consider myself lucky because I found this program, but that doesn't mean it was easy. I worked hard to be standing in front of you all. This was not something that I was imagining 2 years ago. During COVID, it was hard. I'm proud of myself and proud of all of you that are graduating. We did that, and we are the future. We are the ones here to make the change, and we are ready. I can't wait to change the world with you all. Thank you.
Now our second student speaker on behalf of the graduate students, it's my pleasure to invite Dr. Katie McElroy up to the podium.
Thanks, Tim. Hello, and congratulations to the 2023 School of Aquatic and Fishery Sciences graduating class. We did it, we made it, and for the rest of our lives, when someone asks us what we got our degree in, and we say Aquatic and Fishery Sciences, we're going to be met with a, huh? Fun fact, at my bridal shower last year, a trivia question was, what is Katie getting her PhD in? And only one of my 30 closest family and friends got it correct. Shout out to my family. I am honored to be your graduate student speaker today. I've been at SAFS since January 2nd of 2017, which is 6.5 years of my life. In that time, I've had some really high highs and low lows and so many adventures in between. I've learned a lot about myself, about how the world works, and about what I came here for, the management and ecology of aquatic species and their environments. In the pandemic times, I, like many other people, got a therapist. And mine suggested at some point that I take a look at Brené Brown's work. She's also a PhD person, she said, and she studies emotions. So when I took a look, and then classically I went into a deep Brené Brown rabbit hole. At some point, she suggested that you identify your 2 core values. There was this huge list, from love to success to environmentalism and kindness. And I started whittling down my list. Of the 50, I highlighted 15. And then I narrowed it down, each time cutting out a few until I was left with the final 2. So my 2 core values were community and learning. And I found that this was an eye-opener for me and also really applied to my experience here at SAFS. The SAFS community has been the absolute best thing that has come out of my 6.5 years here. I am constantly impressed by how close our undergraduate students are and our graduate student communities are. It's something that's very unique to this school right here. I have met the most incredible people and made so many lifelong friends. And I've had a lot of separate communities at SAFS. I have my 2016-2017 cohort, the Quinn Lab, the Hillborn Lab, the Alaska Salmon Program and all of our friends and family, the Finns community, the Snow Sports graduate student crew, and the Seas community. Each one challenged me in unique ways, urging me to grow, learn, and expand my mind. These communities supported me through challenging times. They made me laugh, and they cheered on my successes. Some of my favorite memories here include jumping off the dock at Lake Aleknagik into the frigid water, flying down the mountain at Snoqualmie on powder days, Jay's incredible sushi dinners with the very loud and very hilarious Hillborn Lab crew, dancing alongside my cohort mate Sean as he belted out Robin. I believe Tim did a rendition of a song in like death metal with a German accent? Russian there, yeah, it's great. Being in awe of the amazing science and passion on display at the Seas open house, and giggling through our writer's block in the second floor conference room with one of my many writing groups who made sure I made it up onto this stage today. As for my second core value of learning, well, isn't that why we're all here today? We came to SAFS to learn from the very best in our field, to learn the principles of ecology, natural resource management, modeling, and conservation from the very best and brightest. We've followed our love of learning through easy and hard classes, in labs and on Alki Beach, and are becoming the next generation of leaders in our field. And I'm not sure about you, but along the way I learned a lot of unexpected things. I learned that I thrive when working with others, how to process a flank of cow into individual steaks, and the complex beauty of different parasite life cycles. I also learned that at times learning can be hard and uncomfortable. Do I like asking my husband for the 4th time how to use the pivot longer function in R? No, I definitely don't. Do I feel uncomfortable as I learn about the privileges that I have and how others feel in the same environment? Definitely. But with discomfort in learning comes growth. And of course, the real beauty comes from the interaction of these 2 core values of community and learning. The best community pushes you to learn. They support you through the difficult times, urging you to learn, adapt, and evolve to better the broader community. And hey, that's kind of like what ecological communities do. Imagine that. So to the graduates, congratulations. I am so looking forward to seeing all of the incredible things you do. I hope that in all of that, you find your community, you challenge your communities to grow, and you continue to learn. And to SAFS, remember that your strength is not only in your knowledge and expertise, but in the community that you build and upkeep, in your continued commitment to learning, and in how you learn from your community as you grow. Thank you.
All right, we are on to our main event, the presentation of the 2022-2023 graduating class. You can move. Yeah, move is fine. Yeah. So I'm just going to give a few logistics so people kind of know what's happening here. If I could ask the bachelor's students to rise and move over by Michael on the stairwell. So just so folks, family members, everyone who wants to kind of know what's going to happen, we'll have people be coming across here, and there will be a photo opportunity here. We do have a photographer who will be taking photos, but for sure, if the person why you're here today is coming up here and getting their degree, feel free to come over here if you want to take your own photo. Please don't be shy. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Professor Chris Anderson and Sarah Converse to introduce our graduates.
All right. So thank you all for turning out to congratulate our graduates today. And this is the point where we get to give everybody a little moment in the sun and a handshake from the director. And learn about the individual projects that they have been working on. So please come on down. Congratulations. All right. So this is Vahid Hasoda, and his project was on the effects of hydrology on Green River chum salmon migrations. All right, Abby Huber, Cryptobenthic reef fishes, a taxonomic review of the genus Istigobius. Adam Wen, What in the Whale? A parasite analysis of the southern resident killer whales of the Salish Sea. Juno Noel O'Neill, Environmental Influences of Periphyton Carbon and Nitrogen Stable Isotopes. Anna Olsen, Effects of Sea Level Rise and European Green Crab Invasion on California Salt Marsh Infauna. Jada Rasmussen, the effect of water temperature variation on the relationship between ectothermic sockeye salmon and endothermic brown bears. Congratulations. All right. Levi Ruka, habitat preferences of juvenile steelhead and coho salmon in the Skagit River, Washington. All right. Bill Suda, Seychow, trophic triangles. What is the net effect of longfin smelt density on juvenile sockeye salmon growth in Lake Washington? All right. Henry Steyer, effects of climate variation and fish grazing pressure on abundance and density of 4 zooplankton genera in Iliamna Lake. All right. Liz Voitis, stable isotope analysis of brown bear hair in Allegnick, Alaska.
Thank you, Chris. Why don't we give one more round of applause for our undergraduates? All right, let's move on to our graduate students. Olivia Margaret Cattow, Faculty Advisor Stephen Roberts, Understanding Tools and Resources for Maturation Control in Bivalvia. Kimi Hiwatari, Faculty Advisors Ray Hilborn and Chris Anderson, Multi-Species Fisheries Management in Japan's Offshore Waters. Carl Begerby, Faculty Advisor Mark Sherrill. Shellfish Aquaculture Farms is foraging habitat for nearshore fishes and crabs. Anita Ray, Faculty Advisor Lorenz Hauser. Population structure in Puget Sound rockfishes using genetics to inform management of a vulnerable species complex. And now we're going to have some fun with costumes, right? All right. Cool. Here we go.
I forgot where I was supposed to be. No one noticed, Sam.
Erica Escajeda, PhD. Faculty Advisor, Kristen Lydra. The ecology, sonic environment, and acoustic occurrence of subarctic baleen whales in the Bering Strait over a decade of change. Shelley Johnson, PhD. Faculty Advisors, Julian Olden and Dave Beauchamp. Bioenergetics-based food web assessment of factors limiting production of native salmonids in the upper Skagit River reservoirs. Maya Souza Kapoor, PhD. Woo! Faculty Advisor Andre Punt, a Transboundary Management Strategy Evaluation for Northeast Pacific Sablefish. Natalie Claire Mastic, PhD. Faculty Advisor Chelsea Wood, Long-Term Change in the Burden of Nematode Parasites for Marine Mammal Hosts. Katie McElroy, PhD. Faculty advisors Ray Hilborn and Tom Quinn, applying the ideal free distribution theory to two mobile predators on Pacific salmon, commercial fishers and brown bears.
One more round of applause for all of our 2023 grads. Well, we've reached our final act. I'm so thrilled to introduce Dr. Kirsten Holzman, who's going to give our keynote address. First, I just wanted to say a few things about Kirsten. First of all, she's a 100% UW product. She got her Bachelor's of Science in Fisheries in 2000, it's wrong year, 2000. And then she got her PhD in Aquatic and Fishery Sciences because we changed our degree name so no one would know what Katie is getting a degree in. And she got that degree in 2006 in this very auditorium. Currently, she's an affiliate assistant professor in our school. Her paying job, however, is she's a current a research biologist at NOAA Fisheries Alaska. I'm going to try that again. She is currently a research biologist at NOAA Fisheries Alaska Fisheries. Oh wait, NOAA Fisheries Alaska Fisheries. That's hard to say. That's the first time I tried to say that out loud. NOAA Fisheries apostrophe Alaska Fisheries Science Center. Thank you. Where she is currently the co-lead on a large interdisciplinary team that's forecasting climate effects on North Pacific ecosystems, fish, and the fisheries that depend on them. She was also the lead author on the ocean and marine ecosystem sections of the 5th National Climate Assessment, and she holds several active positions within the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. I've actually had the great pleasure to watch Kirsten's career develop, and I've had an opportunity to notice a few things that I think also provides really great lessons for everyone here graduating today. One of the many things that has always impressed me about Kirsten is her ability to adapt, to take advantage of new opportunities, learn new skills, follow new interests, and build new interests upon those skills. And every step along her career trajectory, she's just gained more and more interest, more and more experience, and assumed more leadership. And I think it's probably safe to say, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, is way back in 2006 in this auditorium, after she just finished a wonderful dissertation focusing on Dungeness crab and estuaries and how they move and what do they eat and who eats them, that she probably would never have imagined that she would be in a position where she is today. And I think that really just speaks to even finishing your PhD, which ostensibly is a deep, deep focused, specialized area of study. Even after that, your path is not laid out for you at all. It's really just the beginning of the path, and it's what you want to make of it. So with that, please join me in welcoming Dr. Kirsten Holzman.
Thank you all, and thank you, Tim, for that. That was actually a really nice lead-in to what I want to talk about today. So firstly, and can you hear me okay? Is the volume all right? The hat is straight? Excellent. School of Aquatic and Fisheries Science graduates, friends and family, esteemed faculty members, it's really an honor to be here today to welcome you, graduates, to this next chapter of your lives. Now, you are heading into the world with an education from the single best school in this field, the School of Fisheries. Graduates and scholars that have walked these halls before you have gone on to lead their own research programs, be champions of marine stewardship, work on issues of sustainability, conservation, and marine management, food sovereignty and security, issues that reach all the way to the White House, to the United Nations, and beyond. And like them before you, yours is a future for your making. And it may not be a straight trajectory. I hope not. You have done the hard work to get here today. You've given up many of those sunny Fridays in Seattle, which are hard to give up. Your friends and family have allowed you to work through holidays and life events so that you can stand here today at the threshold of your future, ready for the next step. So congratulations on your success. All of that work has paid off, and it will continue to do so. So as Tim mentioned, I too was a SAFS graduate a few decades ago, which sounds like a long time. I'm still kind of reeling from that. Until I tell you it was actually before iPhones. Okay, now it sounds downright prehistoric. It was like the dark ages, right? So obviously the computers, the tech, those things have changed since I graduated. But the underlying principles that I gained here, the methods that I learned, bioenergetics, dynamically linked, environmentally linked habitat and population dynamics models, statistics, those are the fundamentals I still use in the climate modeling we do to understand climate change impacts on ecosystems and plan for the solutions, the adaptation and mitigation solutions. Those fundamentals that I gained here at SAFS gave me the foundation to jump into arenas at the global scale and join discussions about the solutions to the largest issues that we have. So when I was asked to come here and speak today, I reflected on my younger self sitting here like you are now, without the iPhone in my pocket, and that journey that I have taken since then. And I realized that there were these themes in my life that have always been there. They kind of stretch all the way back to childhood. But they were really woven together during my time here. And so from that reflection, I have for you today 5 tidbits of advice through 2 short personal stories. So the first story starts 1,000 miles east of here, in a place about as far from any ocean as you can get, 7,000 feet up in the Rocky Mountains. And it starts with my mountain-dwelling, Arabian horse raising, John Denver loving 70s era parents. My mom was a high school art teacher. My dad is a 3rd-generation architect. So we did a lot of skiing and hiking, of course, horseback riding. And it was a great place to grow up in the mountains of Colorado. But it was also extremely hot and dry in the winter. I mean, in the summer, and snowy in the winter. So we would come out here to Washington in the summers. And my uncle lived out here and his family, and we had cousins of the same age. And we would pile into 25-foot boats, and we would go up to the San Juans and the Gulf Islands, and we would spend the summer exploring the beaches there. And my mom, who was adamant that we stay off of screens. Now, screens back then were like giant televisions, so it wasn't too hard to keep them out of the small boat. But she wanted us to grow up doing art, being creative, exploring. So we set off on these adventures. And we would spend the time swimming in the coves, fishing for salmon and crab, dodging ferry boats, because we weren't really very good at navigating. And some of us fell overboard, but nobody drowned. It was great, really great childhood. And at the end of the summer, we'd pack back up. We'd go back to Colorado. And every year, it got a little harder to do that. My heart was always kind of here, stayed here in Washington. I love the ocean. So we did this every year for the first decade of my life, until about the mid-'80s. And then there was a huge recession that hit. And it hit Colorado particularly hard. And my parents, who unfortunately were hit hard by this, were forced to sell their house, this house that my dad had designed and they had built and they'd lived in for 18 years. And they decided to use that financial crisis as a catalyst for change. So they moved the whole family out here. They said, okay, we're going to do this. We love it out there. We're just going to move out, and we're going to start over. And they succeeded. They came out. My dad started a new firm. My brother is now the 4th generation architect in the family. My mom started an art program that went on to be one of the top photography programs in the state, high school photography programs. And I think about this now because I am the age that they were when they started over. And I realize now, and it was hard as a child going through this, it was a difficult time for the family, but I realize just how hard it is to motivate that kind of change. It must have taken a lot of courage, a lot of faith that things are going to work out, maybe a little desperation to make that change. And it couldn't have been easy. So when I talked to my mom and my dad about this time in their life, they emphasized, and we've heard this today from the previous speakers, they emphasized that they were able to do that because of the people in their life, the social capital, the networks that they had with their family and friends that allowed them to take this kind of leap into this next phase of their lives. And they stuck to their work. They could have gotten jobs in other professions, but they stuck to their work because they saw themselves in it. It was part of their identity. It was an extension of themselves. And so it was worth making this change for. So I learned that. Tim has mentioned that I've taken a lot of different avenues through my scientific career, but it's been that network of people, my husband, my family, my friends, my mentors, that have allowed me to have the ability, the flexibility to change and constantly follow the new science that's interesting and get through some of the challenges that happen in early careers, hiring freezes, starting families, health issues for family members, the pandemic. So this is my first tidbit for you all. And this is what I learned from both my parents and this experience these last few years. That to be successful doesn't depend on security and stability. It depends on having that social capital, that network of people that allow you to have the flexibility. And it also depends on a commitment and a willingness to follow the things that you find are important and to stick with it. So now, I probably don't need to tell you this. You already know that. You're sitting here, getting your degree, having gone through the pandemic, and a terribly challenging part of that, of your lives. But through that, you learned how to bend and adapt. You learned how to persevere. So use that. Keep that with you as you go forward. It will serve you well. The second tidbit from this first story is that science is better with art. So art is a theme in my family. 4 generations of architects, artists that go back for multiple generations, a focus on creativity, the value of that, and the value of curiosity. And it is, of course, the central theme. Creativity and curiosity are the central themes in art, but there's parallels with science as well. And creativity and curiosity are fundamental to good science. It's, of course, essential in the development of the project ideas and the new methods you use. It is critical in the communication of those results, how you display them, how you write them up, how you share them, and present them to your peers and the public. Now, I've met and worked with hundreds of scientists over the years, and the science that really captivates me, the science that really gets me, the scientists behind that almost always have a strong hobby or another life where they cultivate that curiosity, that artistic element of their lives. They're performers sometimes. They're, for reals. They're artists. They might be musicians. They might be culinary artists. But you see that creativity. It permeates into the science. And the science is interesting because of that. And my graduate advisor here was Dave Armstrong, and he was a strong proponent of the artistic side of everything I was doing. So when I started, I had art and science kind of separate. And it was really through his encouragement that those things came together. And that's served me well over the years. So that's my second tidbit for you. Art is at the heart of good science, and it will make your science better, so foster it. Okay, so that was the first story. The second story I want to tell you is about how I came to SAFS. Now, this second story takes place 1,500 miles in the opposite direction, in the middle of the North Pacific. And it starts with a small jellyfish-like creature, a hydrozoan, called Velella velella. And this little hydrozoan changed my life. It brought me to SAFS, and I'll tell you how. I encountered it 2 weeks into a month-long sail across the North Pacific on a small 36-foot sailboat, so about the width of the room here, and it changed my life. I came to be on that sailboat, as these stories sometimes go, through a boyfriend at the time. It didn't work out. It's okay. It's okay. That's not the story. He was sailing around the world as crew on this sailboat, one of 3 people. They'd been circumnavigating the world, and they called from the satellite phone. Now, this is before Elon Musk, so the satellite phone was like $30 a minute or something like that. So they called and they said, "We're on our way to Hawaii. Do you want to join us and help sail this last leg home?" And I said, "Yeah, that sounds great." I was 20. It was a free trip to Hawaii. Heck yeah. So I said, yeah. And then I hung up, and the truth be told, I was a little naive and not maybe that great at geography at the time, and I didn't quite realize how large the Pacific Ocean really was. Okay. And I also didn't realize, once we started to put the days together, how long 34 days at sea without seeing land was. Now, before I went on that trip, I was not a marine biology major or a marine biologist. I was pre-med. I was a creative writing major. And I wasn't really a huge risk taker. I had some adventurous kind of tendencies, but I wasn't jumping out of airplanes or anything. So it was really stretching myself to go on this trip. I was stretching beyond my comfort zone to do this. But that's where you learn what you're made of. That's where you kind of learn your stuff, right? And you gain confidence when you kind of push yourself outside your comfort zone. And so there were parts of this trip that were scary, but for the most part, it was exciting, and I grew as a person because of this trip. Now, one of the key things about open ocean sailing, which is not unlike life, is that you kind of pick a heading, and then you work the entire time just to stay on that heading. So everything is adjusting course to stay on this heading. And you might be sailing along in the winds, and that's great. You can keep the heading just fine. And then you might encounter these periods, days, without wind, dead calm. And the ocean currents, they're still churning, so they will take you days off course. They'll just drift you over out of the way, and you have to sail back when you get wind again. The other thing that happens, of course, is storms. And you're out there, and it's not like when we were in the San Juans, you don't duck behind an island. If a storm is on the horizon and it's in your path, you're going to sail through it. And what you do is you just get ready. You bring the sails in, you put on some foul weather gear, you eat a big meal, you secure everything, and you hunker down and you power through. And so we did that. We did that a number of times. And we always came out the other side safe, a little tired, but safe. And there's a couple of reasons for that. The first is we had a good boat. It was a solid boat. It was a great blue water sailboat. It was not a fast boat. It was a very slow boat, but it was solid. And we had a good crew. We had a very upbeat crew and a fantastic captain. So this captain, his name was Boyd. He was calm under pressure. He was considerate. He was inclusive. He owned the boat. He could have told us to do whatever he wanted. But he was always asking us, what should we do as a crew, as a group, as this group on this little boat in the middle of the ocean? And he didn't get visibly angry or frustrated. He was also really well prepared. Everything on the boat that could be duplicated had duplicate systems. So when we encountered these storms, we knew we had this confident leader and this secure boat. Now, he was a great captain, great crew, but nobody on that boat was a marine biologist, including myself. There wasn't a single marine biology textbook. There was no identification guides. The closest thing we had was a copy of Darwin's Origin of Species. So I started taking notes. I wanted to know what all the stuff we were seeing was. We'd see seabirds and different fish and different kind of things in the ocean that were fascinating. And I started writing it down. This would be my first study. I would write down the date, what I saw, and the behavior of the organisms. And my plan was to come back and look it up in like an encyclopedia, because there was no Google, right? So I wrote this all down. And the thing that intrigued me the most was this little hydrozoan, this little jellyfish-like thing. And the first time we saw it was a couple weeks out. It emerged. It was just this big kind of conglomerate blob floating at the surface, a lot of little smaller blobs stuck together. A few days later, it broke apart. And then a few days later, suddenly, there were these little organisms. And they were sailing with us. And they were fascinating. They were, there wasn't a lot of entertainment out there. So they were kind of like They were kind of like the TikTok of the ocean, right? I was just watch them for hours and hours and study their kind of amazing engineering. We'd take them in a bucket, bring them on board, and I would draw them and kind of write down things. And they had this set of tentacles that acted like a keel, a little air bubble for buoyancy. They were bright blue, so they matched the ocean perfectly. And they had this hard little sail that would fold down when they got rolled in the waves. And so they'd roll in the waves and then pop that sail back up and keep going. So I had to know what these were. They were fascinating. So as soon as we got back to Seattle, 34 days later, I pulled out the course catalog and thought, well, I could have, I guess, looked it up in an encyclopedia, but I figured I would go to somebody who knew, somebody who studied fish, right? Somebody who studied fish would know what this organism was. And so I looked through the course catalog for fish class, which brought me to fisheries. And there was Ted Peash, his name. He was the teacher of Fish 101. And so I came down to the fish collection, which is where his office was, probably unannounced, and came on in. And he was so great. He took this big book down off the shelf, opened it up. There was Velella velella. We identified it, talked about the ecology of it, all the other organisms and seabirds and fish that we had seen. I signed up for his class, and he put me in contact with this new faculty member, Daniel Schindler and Ray Hilborn and Tom Quinn, in this brand new program first year that they were going to do, this Alaska Salmon Camps program. And I went to that program. I still work on Alaska fisheries, and met my faculty advisor, Dave Armstrong, there, joined SAFS as a student, and the rest of my life unfolded. Met my husband in grad school. We have a beautiful daughter up in the super smart future engineer in the backseat there, and all of my closest friends and family. So this brings me to my last few tidbits for you before you go have cupcakes and champagne. Firstly, periodically push yourself outside your comfort zone. No one learns to sail in those safe but really boring doldrums, right? It's where there's wind that you make progress. It's where it's rough seas. So push yourself. To this point, you may have had opportunities to do that. It gets a little harder when you start piling on all those responsibilities. But remember to say yes to the big things. Don't say yes to everything or you'll be totally stressed out, okay? So just say yes to those big things. They don't come along that often. And when they do, they can change the course of your life. We're on tidbit 4. The fourth tidbit, second of this story, is find a good crew, find a good captain, and later, or maybe sooner, as you transition into leadership, be a good captain. Along my journey, I've had the great luck to have incredible mentors, some of which are sitting in the room here. People like Dave Armstrong and Beauchamp and Tim, Julia Parrish, Mark Sherrill, who was my postdoc advisor, current mentors and colleagues, Kara Maiden, Jimmy Anelli, Ann Hollywood, who's a dear mentor. These colleagues are amazing scientists, but they're even more amazing humans. They build communities around themselves, and they folded me into that community, and in doing so gave me the confidence to kind of stretch my science, stretch myself a bit. So then my final tidbit, the fifth one, is what you end up doing next will be important. It will make a difference. But how you do it and who you do it with will be even more important. Put your intellectual energy behind good people. People who through their actions, not just their words, amplify you, amplify your science, and follow your ethic. And as you become a leader, don't stress people out, okay? Be a calm leader. But listen, be intentional, be inclusive, promote and give credit where credit is due, and amplify those around you. Ultimately, the impacts of our science are only a little bit in the results, in those papers and those presentations, even the big ones. The real impact is in the connections that we reinforce and the collective momentum and understanding that we build together. That's the legacy. Now, you have the gift of options. Start down any path, make it your own. It's an interesting path. Make it your own. Fill it with creative science and art. Say yes to big challenges. Meet those head on. enjoy your companions, put your energy behind good people, and be a good captain, and change the world. I can't wait to see what you all will do.
All right, so we reached the end of our program, and we're amazingly right on time, which means we nailed it. Real quick, I do want to take a moment for all of us to thank Sam and Michael for literally, we would not have this event without them, and also metaphorically, we would not have this event without them, because they are the advising team that's helped everyone get through the degree. Now, please join me one last time in your most enthusiastic applause you've ever done in your entire life in congratulating our 2023 graduating class! So in just a moment, we're going to have a recession, and we invite all of you after the recession to join us out in the lobby. There'll be well, as brief as a photo session can possibly be. And feel free to jump over there if you want to take your own versions of those photos. But we do also hope you stick around for a little bit. We'll also have a bit of a toast, and then people are free to stick around as much as they want. So if I could ask the faculty and the graduate students to please stand.